Hi, it's me again. Today, as you're viewing this video for the class, it would be Thursday, September 3rd. And today we're going to be writing repeating decimals as fractions. And remember our chart that we used yesterday. I want to make sure that you remember the chart, and remember you can pull it up under yesterday's date. So remember, we're dealing in these areas today, and we may deal in this area a little bit today. So the first thing we want to talk about is the fact that there's a difference between terminating and non-terminating decimals. So if you've ever seen the movie Terminator, as you know, what he does to people is he terminates them. And when he does that, they stop and usually drop to the ground. So a terminating decimal is a decimal that stops, like 0.2 stops, 0.75 stops, 1.25 stops. The decimals that we're looking at today, however, don't stop, and they are called repeating decimals. So there's a very big rule for repeating decimals. When you are turning them into fractions, you must, I'm going to put a big star by this, you must subtract 1 from the denominator when it is a repeating decimal. All of these today are repeating. So just like yesterday, we're still going to use the same place value chart, and you're still going to use the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths. That doesn't change. So you're going to see me do it in probably 3 steps. So if you notice here, this is 7 repeating. It's still in the tenths place, because remember, it's 1 place after the decimal. So this is going to be written as 7 over 10. Now, because of the steadfast rule that you must subtract 1 from the denominator, you would rewrite it as 7 and then 10 minus 1. There's the rule. You must subtract 1. So your answer would be 7 over 9. Now, for many years that I've been teaching this, there is a very complicated algebraic way to solve these. I don't want you worrying about that, because when you get into Algebra 1, they will go into depth about why they do it with algebra. But for us, if there's a shortcut we can take, and to know that because it's repeating we have to subtract 1, it helps us to remember it better. And then when you get a little bit into the higher math, they will give you a much better explanation of it. I just don't need to confuse you with all of that. So the next one is again in the tenths place. So it's going to be 3 over 10. Now, don't forget the rule. We have to subtract 1 from the bottom. So that's going to give me 3 over 9. Now, the problem is we can't leave it 3 over 9 because we have to put it in simplest form. So I know that 3 and 9 can both be divided by 3. So I would divide the top by 3. I would divide the bottom by 3. And I would get 1 over 3. So when you're writing this, you want to reduce them if they can be reduced. So the final answer for this one would be 1 over 3. Now, that's if they're in the tenths place. The next two we're going to look at are in the hundredths place. So same thing happens. I'm going to write, remember we're looking at the right one in the hundredths column, 33 over 100. Don't forget the rule. We got to subtract 1. So we're going to write our 33. We're going to write our 100. We're going to subtract 1. So we're going to have 33 over 99. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm probably going to look at this thing and go, well, it can be divided by 3, but it could also be divided by 11. So I might use 11. But then I look at it and go, oh, wait a minute, it can be divided by 33. So if I divide the top by 33, and I divide the bottom by 33, I'm going to get 1 over 3. So again, we're looking at 1/3. So you can see that these are similar even though they have different place values, which makes these kind of unique. Okay, the next one won't look so unique, but we're still in the hundredths column. There's our 6. We're looking in the hundredths, so 16 over 100. But remember, I have to take the numerator. The denominator is 100 minus 1. So we have 16 over 99. Now, good news for us is this one does not reduce down any further because there are no factors of 16 and 99 that are the same. So this one is complete at 16 over 99. So that one you don't have to go any further with, which is kind of cool. Now, we've done 2 in the hundreds place. Now we're looking in the thousands place because remember, it goes out 3 places. So we have to remember this is in the thousands column. So I'm going to write 125 over 1,000. And then I'm going to write my 125 again. And 1,000 minus 1. Because remember, you always have to follow the rule. Subtract 1 if it's a repeating decimal. So 125. Now this is going to be 999. That one also cannot be reduced, which is kind of cool because you can just leave it like that. Now you might ask yourself, how do you know? Well, you have to know the factors of 125 and 999. And there are no factors that will reduce that number down. Now our last hundredth one is in the, it still has a 0 in front of that right there, but that's okay. The 7 is still in the thousands place. I'm sorry, it's in the thousands. So we're going to write it, it's going to look really weird, but I'm going to write it as 0.27 over 1,000. Now, you'll see when I write it over here, I'm going to take off the 0, leave it off on the top because we don't need it. In fact, it looks kind of silly, so I take it off. Then I do 1,000 minus 1. So now I've got 27 over 999. Now, what do you think that we would divide that one by to make it nice and simple for ourselves? Well, I see that it can be divisible by 3. I'm wondering, though, if it can be divisible by anything else. So I think to myself, well, what do I know about fractions? What do I know about how they work? So I kind of know that this thing can be divided by 27. Now, would I just know that automatically if I was in middle school? Probably not. And that's okay. So you would take 27 divided by 27 is 1. And then you take 999 divided by 27 and you get 37. So this is correct at 1 over 37. So that was a little bit tougher. You won't see too many of those probably. Okay, now the last one that we're going to do is a mixed number. Well, it's not really a mixed number. It has a whole number and then a repeating decimal. It's handled exactly the same way, except we have that main number out front. So when I write them, I'm going to write it like this. I'm going to make a big 3. 3 and 16 over, I go over how many places? 1, 2. So that's in the hundredths column. So now I still have to follow the rule, subtract 1 from the denominator. So I'm going to write my 3 again, my 16, and then 100 minus 1. So my final answer for this one's going to be 3 and 16 over 99. Now 16 over 99 does not reduce either, so you would just leave it just like it is at 3 and 16 over 99. So this right here is different because of the fact that you have this 3 out in front of the decimal or to the left of the decimal. That creates this mixed number. So you keep the big number, then you take the 16, place it over 100, and then you subtract your 1 from the denominator, and there you have it. So this is the only one that would be different because it has the whole number out front. Now, as always, this is the end of the video, and if you have questions, of course, you know you can always ask in class. So that is the end of the video, and I will talk to you in a few minutes. Bye.